Um, we've got snow. Is that Minneapolis? We've got snow. Um, oh my gosh. Okay, and Maine, Texas, New York. There's no snow in New York, and I think if it was snowing in October, I would cry. um, but we've got fall. We've got fall leaves here in New York. So Arizona, Boston, Germany, raining in Germany, raining here in New York just a little bit. Fort Lauderdale, Chicago, Florida, Alabama, Palo Alto, California, amazing. Toronto, Bethesda, Maryland, Central Mass, Smoky Boulder, Colorado. Mm. We send our warm wishes, or yeah, wishes in general, out to you in Colorado. Um, Wonderful. So thank you all for joining together and coming in and just being, yeah, just being here, being in ourselves. So maybe we take a little breath. Each Women Together hour, we do some tiny practices to just allow us to land in the body. And we actually do it in the beginning of all Eileen or most Eileen Fisher meetings. And it's just a way to kind of acknowledge that we're not where we were, we're not where we're going, we're right here in this body, in this moment, on this seat. So to do that, I have a little singing bowl that's for conference room only. But our conference room is the living room. Some of us are getting to go back into the office carefully, but my conference room is still the living room. So I enjoy being in this gathering with you, and I bring our little singing bowl to let us land here. So perhaps just take an exhale, just exhale everything out. Land the feet on the floor. Inhale, inhale into the feet, just rooting down onto the ground. And then exhale, find a little bit of uplift. Uplift in the spine, uplift from the top of the head. Just feeling the capacity you have to just be in this body, be in connection, this 100+ group of women. And I'll ring the bell to bring us into our moment of stillness, and I'll ring the bell to bring us back. Thank you all for taking that little moment. I just find that all of my senses start to perk up a little bit when we do these moments of stillness. It's just, I start to hear differently, can feel my senses just change. So that in and of itself is a practice to take with us. So while we continue, I know that people are still rolling in, and welcome to those of you who are just coming in again and again. It's a joy. So what we can do is just type directly in the chat in Zoom or in the comments on YouTube, what brought you here today? And perhaps it has something to do with the theme of resilience and renewal. And maybe that first thing that you think about, what brought me here today, That one's a good one. And then maybe go to a second layer. What really brought me here today? And just type that directly in the chat. So, what brought me here today in the chat on Zoom or YouTube, wherever you are? We've got yearning for peace and connection, Anna. Mary, today I'm here to renew in order to be resilient. Leslie, connection. Alicia, renewal and connection. Grace Ann, being in community. And I feel less hopeful this past week. Eileen, women together is a lovely respite and a way to connect and learn from others. Charlene, because I was here last week and I want more this week. It's good to have you back, Charlene. Mary, need to connect. Elizabeth, wanting to get more centered with my art and with my life. We'll do a little centering practice. We can never get enough centering, right? Amy, getting comfortable in my suffering during this COVID time. Yeah. Bianca, continued nourishment from this lovely group, desiring additional support to keep going. With you, Bianca. Hillary, finding joy and resilience. We've got Sarah struggling with isolation. Evie, keep up the resilience. Diane, sense of community and restore peace of mind. A deep need for connection. Pat, always feel better in this space. Miriam, I feel like I needed connection to people. I hope I feel renewal when I leave today. Yeah. Marcy, need to distract myself from the stress of this time in this country. Yeah, or maybe just tune out from that for a moment and tune into something that's also there. Beautiful. Mary, I feel like I need more resilience. Pierre, working in office, so no video, that's okay. Yeah, there's some health struggles, so all prayers are welcome for Pierre. Perfect timing for this week. We're with Pierre Anna. Mary, habit is the first one, and then needing to see the women, and then show me what's on your mind, in your heart, in your world. And I think that is such a beauty of Women Together, that we focus in on these topics, we do these little practices, but I say that the most important part is when we get to actually turn to each other and have that connection. And we may not know what the other person had for breakfast this morning, or what their life has been like, or all the experience that they bring. But when we see each other and we see each other's, the depth of who we are, even in those few moments, those 15, 20 minutes that we get together, there's something really powerful that happens. Eileen says that there is a magic that happens when we connect with other women. There are 50 more, and I would love to go through all of them. And I love that they're coming in. I really just want to go through all of them because they're so fantastic. But just positive thinking, desire to explore thoughts around resilience, being able to connect with women around the world. Absolutely here for all of it. Yeah, this is exactly why we're here together. Beautiful. Sending warm wishes to all of us here together. And I love the YouTube ones as well. Put it on my calendar and make it a priority. Absolutely. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay, so to dive in a little bit to resilience and renewal, a few things that I wanted to share today. And I love being able to just spend some time doing my own practice and then, doing this together, because for me, I meditate a lot. I do yoga. I, do whatever I can to just get into my body and be in myself. Sometimes that's working out, listening to music, going for a walk in nature. And when I do that practice now, more and more, I think of all of you, and I think of all of us in our practice together. And there's something really special about that, to have this group and this community of, oh yeah, we can share that with each other. So thank you for that. And the piece that I've been just sitting with a lot is what resilience and renewal is. So resilience for me, we've talked about it before, but the resilience is the ability to bounce back. So we've been doing a lot of centering practice, and just kind of being at one with, what is, and just staying in a place of acceptance. But resilience is really the thing that allows us to come back to that centered place. So whenever we get off of that, whether it's something Wendy Palmer calls low grade threat. So whether it's something that is, a really, somebody comes in while I'm in the middle of doing something and says something and I'm like, nah, I can't handle that right now, or if it's more threatening where, it's life threatening or physical illness or something deeply emotionally disturbing. When we have those kinds of disruptions, it turns us to, we have options on how we react to that. And our ability to be resilient is how quickly we can bounce back, how quickly we can come back to center. And what I said earlier is that I find that resilience comes when we're in connection, when we're in the collective. And that might look different now. My mother plays bridge, and she would go and she would sit at her bridge games, and she could never have imagined playing bridge online, because there's something that happens when we go into being in connection with each other. Now I say, oh, can you, talk at this time? And she says, I have my bridge game. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she's sitting there playing bridge online for hours. And, again, that's the connection. It's a new way of connecting, but we're finding that connection with each other in a lot of different ways. And, the ability to be resilient comes when we allow ourselves to connect, which means allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. And it means being honest in a way that, we actually have to say it out loud, what's happening, what's going on. And those are tricky, they're difficult. And so it's for me, it's all about the practice. It's all about the practice of being able to, okay, I'm going to say it now. Okay, I'm going to be with it. Last week we had Hillary Ray here, and she was talking about owning our stories. And that ability to own our stories is trusting. And, in some ways we talk about trusting that the other person can handle it. It's also trusting that no matter what the other person thinks, that we can handle it. So for me, that resilience is collective. The resilience is the ability to bounce back. And renewal is slightly different. And I love that someone shared that I want to be renewed now so that I can be resilient. And I think that is, a big step but to me, renewal is actually more about letting go. So in order for something new to come in, we have to let something go. And then when there is that disruption, then we can be more resilient to handle it, because we are more in tune with what happens when we let go. And over the course of times when I've experienced something incredibly challenging in my life, or when I've had to let go of something, whether it's a part of myself, a part of my own ego, whether it's something that I've built in my life or someone that I've connected with, when I've had to let go, I've had to tune into a source of what feels like emptiness or suffering. And those aren't the same thing, but the emptiness that I've tuned into, and I've been tuning into this recently, because I think that for me, I'm going there, I'm diving in. Okay. So that source of emptiness is actually the same thing as the source of possibility. So when I really tune into what that means to be human, it's holding both that source of emptiness and a place of possibility. So most of what I'm doing in my life is I'm kind of building these like paper things around my humanness. I'm kind of, here's my career, here's my house, here's my family, here's my dog, and I put it all around myself like this little cocoon. And when it gets disrupted, it touches into that emptiness that I've been trying to fill. And when it touches into that emptiness, there's fear, because A, it's disruption, it's painful, I don't want it. But also it's because the immense freedom is scary too. So for me, there's both of those things. And Arwana Hayashi talks also about suffering and fear, and that in the present moment, when we're being present, that we can be in tune with human suffering, and at the same moment, we're in tune with human freedom. So there's both of those things happening. So I just bring that in to bring a little bit of the depth to us. And I will bring a Pema Chodron quote that is also, Eileen calls herself a depth junkie, and I think that's where she and I connect so deeply, is that we both really want to go into that place. So I'm putting the quote in the chat, and it's profound. Pema Chodron says, only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible in us be found. I'll say it again because Bianca's nodding. So, is only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible in us be found. And I know for me, when the pain comes, I want to say, oh, I don't want to deal with that right now. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to think about it. But the truth is, the more and more that I can face that pain, whatever it is, it's small, it's big, then I can actually find the part in myself that is so strong. It's like this quiet strength. It's this quiet power that I carry. And I know that's in all of us, partly because I see you nodding, but also because I just know that that's part of our humanness. So I bring that into all of us, and I invite us to let's just be in that place of centering together. And then we'll do a little stretch, a little movement. And then we can journal and go into our breakouts. So to just land in centering, there's a lot that I just dropped into our conversation space. So just being with what is coming up for you now. Perhaps it's like, Antoinette, stop. Put me on mute. That's fine. Or perhaps there's something coming up that it's not easy to face that. It's not easy to face any of it. There's another little Pema quote where she says, fear is a natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. So that moment where it's not saying be afraid, but it's saying that that's a natural reaction. When we start to see or feel the truth, then we naturally might feel fear. So, and that's okay. So the invitation is going to be that we're going to do the breath of 4. So I'll count our inhale, hold, exhale, hold for 4. So if you can find some rootedness, just grounding down onto the earth and connecting with that sense of being rooted, whatever that means for you. So feet flat on the ground, if that feels good. If you want to put your hands, palms down on your legs, that can be a way to find grounding. If you want to put them up, that kind of opens the shoulders automatically. So if you put the hands facing up, that might be a little bit more energizing. Whatever you need right now, just feel into that. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, rooting down, hold, exhale, rising up, hold, inhale, rooting down, hold, exhale, finding a sense of uplift, hold, inhale, hold, exhale. And then return to your regular breathing. And if you have paper and a pen or a journal nearby, now would be a good time to grab it. And I'll just bring us 4 questions. So, and it could be that you just want to write down anything that has just come up for you. So the 4-part breath is a stress relieving breath. So hopefully that allowed you to reset and recenter a little bit. And just noticing what came up. You know, if there was anything specific, you can just start jotting that down. And all my talking has surely allowed you to find a pen and paper now. So if you haven't yet, okay, good. I see most of us writing. So the first question is, what challenges are you facing? Maybe you just want to focus in on one. Maybe you want to just talk about what challenges you have faced because you want to look at the resilience moment. But either way, either what challenge are you facing now or what challenge have you faced? Just jot that down. And the challenge could be quite simple or, small, appearingly small. Maybe the way that we interact with each other has changed, the way that we, maybe a living situation, maybe a health situation, but something that you've personally experienced. And I'd like to invite you into an imaginary helicopter. So you're going to get in a helicopter and we're just going to lift up and imagine that you're sitting in that helicopter and you're looking down at your life, at that challenge from above. And as you look at that challenge, just notice if there's any new possibility, any way that you might look at it creatively. So looking at it from above, what new possibilities do you see? And Karen has lovingly put the questions in the chat. Thank you, Karen. And the next question, I promise this will be the last really tough one. What is ending or dying? So, what in your life, or maybe your work or your connections, what is ending or dying? And the last question, what is wanting to be born? Because that's the beauty of renewal, that as something is ending or dying, something else is being born. We're making space for that which is wanting to come into the world. So, what is wanting to be born? So perhaps something came up, perhaps you just used the time to be with your own space, and that is all wonderful. Um, we will, for those of us in Zoom, turn to each other to just connect and find that sense of the collective resilience that we talked about earlier. And we, for those of us in Zoom, will come back in about 20 minutes and we'll do some final sharing. So no need to pull yourself together if you're not together right now. That's okay. We're just going to be with each other and be together and hold space for one another. And that is something that we all have the capacity to do, is hold space for ourselves and hold space for each other. So as we go in, really just remembering to meet each other with the sense of seeing these women in front of you as their highest possible selves. So, like I said earlier, we don't know what we had for breakfast. We don't know, or what the other person had for breakfast. Hopefully, we still remember what we had for breakfast. But the just little connection, just remembering compassion for each other. And another little thing that Arowana shares often, and she's shared with us in the Women Together space, is that we're striving for goodness. We're not striving for perfection. So as we come into connection with each other, we're not sharing the perfect story. It doesn't have to come out perfect. We're just making space for ourselves, making space for each other, and deeply listening to one another. So just enjoy the time together and know that we're all coming at different places and spaces and different needs. We have 20 minutes, and just giving each other enough time to each have an opportunity to speak and to share. And for those of you on YouTube, we'll see you in the conversation space, conversations.womentogether.com. And we'll continue the conversation there. And we'll see you again next week. And for those of you in Zoom, see you in 20 minutes.